Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, or whatever ungodly hour you find yourself listening. We are the Bards Against Humanity, here to strum your lute and absolutely wreck your ear holes. So prepare for a podcast that's going to hit harder than a nat one in bed, because we're coming in your ears.
Today, I'm here with myself, obviously, Leo. I'm here with Dan.
Howdy.
And tonight, we have a very special guest. We're here with Josh as well.
Hello everyone, hello. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. Today, we will be talking about the Druid subclass. We're moving away from Fighter because we did it. And now today, we're going to be talking about the Druid. Josh, what are your experiences with the Druid?
So, I have played two proper Druid class characters in my D&D career. And by proper, I mean from level 1 to level 20. And besides that, I am addicted to making level 20 character druids for like one shots or like battle royales or just random little fun stuff for D&D. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I think what I like about the druid the most is that you could play in so many different ways. I know you can do that with every class, but the druid specifically, I think people overlook it, that you can be more than just like I talk to butterflies because they make me feel special. I think there's a lot more interesting stuff you could do with it.
You're more than just a Disney princess. I get it.
Yeah. You can be like a serious Disney princess.
Yeah, like fucking Brave. Though, granted, that's not really a druid. Once again, that's a fighter.
I classify that as more ranger.
Yeah.
I'm laying claim.
Fair enough. Hey, do you know what's worse? I can't remember her name. What the fuck is her name?
I thought her name was Brave.
No, she just is, right?
Oh.
Completely changed.
Yeah.
As Leo mentioned, we're here to talk about the Druids, but specifically the base class and the differences, once again, between the 2014 edition and the 2024 edition. So be prepared for this episode of Lore and Order. Take it away, guys.
Dun dun.
All right, I'll take it away then. Did nobody hear me say "take it away," guys?
Oh no, I did, but I mean, you already heard me earlier with the whole wild shape conundrum.
Yeah, I don't know if I should step in or not, so I was like, I'll leave you guys do it.
All right, so from looking at both of them, in my general opinion, Druid has gotten both serious buffs and serious nerfs at the same time. As we're all aware, or if you aren't aware, Druids are what are known as prepared casters. At the start of every long rest, or at the end of every long rest, they get to change out the spells that they currently have within their roster. So, for example, you could choose a bunch of spells at the start of one long rest, use absolutely fucking none of them, and then change them at the end of your long rest so that you have something that you can more adeptly use in your kit.
You can change all of them?
You can change as many spells as you want with a prepared caster. It's the same with a wizard.
Oh.
Druids innately know every single spell on their spell list, but they can only have a certain number of them prepared to use for that day.
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's like you have access to all of it, but then like I feel like when I'm playing a prepared spellcaster, I feel like I have too many options, and I always prepare the wrong spells. I can never get it right.
Out of since I'm a druid novice here, realistically, I think I kind of showed my hand there that prior to preparing for this episode, I overlooked would mean that I gave it any form of attention at all. It's just really not in my periphery. So when it comes to prepared spells, do they have their own list for Dungeons and Dragons spells, or are they similar to like a wizard or?
They would share spells with the ranger and the cleric mainly, because they're kind of in between that weird line of like it's like nature and well, not holy, but they're in that line of like Fae. It would be their version of religious, and then nature magic from the ranger.
Yeah, they get their dick hard for grass. I definitely
pretty much.
Like all full casters, Druids, both in the 2014 and 2024 editions of the class, get their spellcasting at level 1. They can choose a number of... They're called cantrips. They can choose a number of cantrips. Nope. Hold on. They can choose 2 cantrips of their choice from the Druid spell list. And at higher levels then they can add more. I think up to 4 cantrips. No.
They can have 4 spells prepared at level 1.
I'm talking about cantrips. Cantrips are complete.
Oh, just pure cantrips? Oh, sorry, I thought we were still at level 1. You're dead right. Yeah, at level 20 it's still 4. You would have thought they would have made it go up to 5 or something. Give them something.
Yeah, I think 4 is like normal for all the classes now, right?
4 is normal. I think sorcerers get the extra one.
Yes, sorcerers maybe the claim they're special.
Maybe it's changed. We'll have to find out for our sorcerer subclass episode. Oh my god! Who knows? But getting back to it, some of the other things that have changed for first level for the Druid subclass. Druid class. I don't know why I keep calling it subclass. Just losing my mind. I'm either dying for a sandwich or the dream of being underwater. That their weapon proficiencies, they don't have. They now it's just simple weapons. As a Druid before, Josh, did you ever even think of using something like a scimitar in your previous builds? Because you won't actually be proficient in that anymore.
You know what? In the old version of the Druid, I tried to stay away from using any weapons as much as possible because you had so much room with your wild shape. I always felt like it was kind of not a waste, but it was kind of unnecessary to focus on a weapon because you had so much options with your wild shape. However, with the new Druid, I think you do need to focus on a weapon because you cannot rely on the wild shape like you used to. But I don't mind the simple weapon thing. They have access to the Shillelagh cantrip, which, as far as I remember, they're the only class that can actually use it. Ignoring, obviously, if you take a feat to get the cantrip that way.
That's cheating.
Well, yeah. We don't like cheaters here.
Yeah.
So, but the Shillelagh cantrip allows you to use your wisdom modifier for your attack roll with whatever weapon you're using. I'm pretty sure it's attack and damage. It basically allows you to use the wisdom modifier for the weapon in general, and on top of that, it also changes the damage type to force damage, which is one of the damages that's least resisted by monsters, and you just get it straight away from casting a cantrip. Yeah, with the Shillelagh cantrip, I think no matter what weapon you're using, because it also scales up your damage dice. Like, so if you're using, I don't know, a quarterstaff, and it's a d8 for the quarterstaff, or a d10 if you're two-handing it. When you're high enough level, you get it as a d10. Shillelagh makes your damage dice a d10, even if you're only one-handing the weapon. So you could benefit from having a shield, a quarterstaff, and you still have a d10 damage dice with that Shillelagh cantrip.
Fair. So you both say so the lack of simple weapons not really a problem. What about the armor proficiencies? Because they've also lost medium armor. Yeah.
So I'm not very happy with this.
Just to interject on the whole losing medium armor, technically haven't. It's now a choice. So with the new 2024, what they have at level 1 is called your Primal Order, and you can choose between one of 2 options. First one being Magician, the second one being Warden. So for Magician, it allows you to choose an extra cantrip from the Druid spell list. In addition, your magical connection to nature gives you bonuses on Arcana and nature checks equal to your Wisdom modifier with a minimum of 1. But if you choose the Warden, you're more trained for battle in that regard, and you gain proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor. So you can, kind of like what they're doing with the fighter, and trying to help you define which way you want to go from level 1, and allowing you to kind of branch off in that regard a little bit. It's really, really good that you kind of have an option to choose. Do you want to go for more like a melee focused and kind of like tankier version of a druid, or do you want to go down a more magic focused route? And since it specifies that that it's a bonus equal to your wisdom modifier, if your intelligence already grants you a positive bonus, that stacks.
I hate that when I read that originally, I thought they were 2 separate things. Because I'm like, Dan's just reading ahead on my notes. But no, there it is. One of the following. Yeah, that sneaky 1 right there. You cheeky bastard.
So I think it's a really nice buff for like out of combat skill checks, which is nice, especially because like if you're playing a campaign that may require a little bit of magic focus or knowledge, then having the ability to use your druidic connection to natural arcana to kind of like bolster that check a little bit is really, really cool.
And makes sense for the class you've chosen.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've always thought that this nature skill, should have been a wisdom skill anyway, instead of intelligence. Or maybe it's more just the frustration of playing druids in the older versions, because there's so many times where I'd make a druid and they wouldn't exactly be very smart, but they'd be very wise. And now all of a sudden, I don't know what type of plant I'm looking at.
You gotta know which plant you're looking at.
I do like the primal order options. They definitely it's such a little bit of text amongst the rest of the class, but it matters so much because it really does dictate what you're going to do with the rest of your class. You know, like the way I see it, if you pick the warden primal order, then you're not locked in, but you're pretty much stating that you are going to be fighting up front. Right, because you get your medium armor, you get your martial weapons, which we just talked about. Whereas if you pick the magician one, then, well, if you're not proficient in medium armor, you're probably not going to want to be up front anyway. So it's kind of stating very early on whether you're going to be a spellcaster in the back or if you're going to be up front.
I think it'll be definitely interesting. Primal Order looks very basic at face value, but I'd be really curious to see how it matches with the subclasses that we talk on later episodes. To see if there is because obviously they've done 4 subclasses, to see if there's there's this one they obviously had the mind of warden, this one they obviously had the mind of magician, or if they've managed to balance it for both. It'd be interesting.
Biggest gripes that a lot of people have with the new druid is the changes to wild shape. This went under a number. I don't know if you guys were keeping up with the Unearthed Arcana, essentially like the playtest for the new 5e update, or as they call it, 1D&D, excuse me, for Druid. But it went through a number of changes in that UA because people were so unhappy with how it was going.
Yikes!
And a lot of it was actually 50-50 on whether or not they should keep the new changes or change them. But the change part of that poll was the majority, so they kept changing it to try and cater to what most people wanted. But how wild shape used to work is you could revert into a creature of a certain CR depending on your druid level. At second level, the base for all classes bar the moon druid, which everybody loved, was a max of a CR of 1/4, which was usually something like a little wolf, kind of like a spider, something like that. But the main stipulation was they couldn't have a flying or swimming speed. You could have a climb speed, but no flying or swimming until later levels.
Okay.
How it used to work was when you transformed into the beast, because it specifically had to be beast, your HP total essentially got a big buff, because when you were in that beast shape, you had the HP of that beast, and if you took damage that bled through to your main health, you would transform out of your wild shape, and the excess damage that you would have taken in that form bleeds through to your main HP pool. So it allowed druids to be very, very tanky on the front row. But how they've changed it now is when you assume a wild shape, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your druid level. So you retain your druid player HP pool with a number of hit points equal to your druid level.
Ew.
So what they've done is they've removed the high level druid tanky kind of builds that a lot of people used in really high level D&D, where druids didn't have to use a charge of their wild shape and could just continually go into something with a massive HP pool and just frontline tank.
On top of that, one of the biggest nerfs I think about it is now if you are in your wild shape and you're dropped to 0 hit points, you are now unconscious. You don't drop out of your wild shape and revert back to your form. Because you keep your health pool and you just get temporary hit points, you can be downed, you can be killed in your wild shape. Which is it's just introducing a bigger risk factor, I guess, for druids who want to be in the front line as a bear. But it definitely makes things a lot more risky, especially when most of the animals or beast forms that you have access to don't have a big AC or health pool or resistances or anything like that.
Surely they'll look on to try and add a few more beasts for that to be the case, if that makes sense. It sounds like they've I can understand the uproar. I'm so curious to see what they'd done previously and consider this the fix. How badly did they fuck up?
Are you talking about like what they had from the UA?
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, I've from both seeing it and from like I watched the interviews with that they had like posted on like the D&D YouTube channel when these things were going out, was what they did was they wanted to simplify the wild shape list that druids could transform into. So they had like a beast shape. They had like a sky shape or something, or like an aquatic shape. So they basically narrowed it down to, if you remember seeing, do you know the likes of how a Drake Warden works with their Drake Companion? That their HP equals at base 5 plus your Ranger level. They had stuff like that as the wild shape. So what they were doing was they were leaving it entirely down to how you wanted to flavor how your beast shape looked, how you wanted to flavor your aquatic shape to look, but they had really standardized abilities. So it really kind of felt like, at least in my opinion, even like I'm really not the druid guy, from my kind of like outsider perspective, it really looked like they were trying to make things too simple, and it was like a big FU to like creatively using some abilities on a stat block to be able to help you out in certain ways.
I mean, it's a big fuck you to everyone, in a sense of like, oh, well, this thing's way too complicated. No. Now you can either turn into a buck or an apple and cinnamon candle. Isn't that exotic? Isn't that fun? Well, in that case, then yes, it's technically improved.
But one other thing that they did change for the druid is when you gain your wild shape, 4 forms at level 2 that you can transform into. So like some of the stuff that they recommend, say like a rat, a riding horse, a spider, a wolf, those kind of things, because you have a max CR, like challenge rating of 1/4 at level 2. At level 4 then, you increase to 6 forms known, and the challenge rating increases to a maximum of 1/2. And then at Druid level 8, you know a maximum of 8 forms, and the max CR for those is 1. And it's only at level 8 do you gain access to forms that have a fly speed.
Yeah.
I do overall agree that I think this is a better version of Wild Shape, for many different reasons. Reason one, I don't think it's fair for the Druid to be relying on this one feature to be good like they used to in the old version, because the Druids can do so much, even just with their magic alone. So this gives you an opportunity to have to do other stuff besides Wild Shape, which is great. It is fantastic. But back to Dan, what you were saying about the beast shapes, right? About your max CR. Like at level 8 is when you reach your cap, right? Level 8 you get a max CR of 1 for your wild shapes. But imagine you're in a campaign that's going to level 20, and you are now a level 20 adventuring party, and you're about to face the big bad who's going to, destroy all life in existence, and you can transform into beasts max CR 1. That doesn't feel good. I don't know, for me, I feel like they should keep getting bumps to that CR as they level up, instead of capping at level 8, just to give them a little bit extra. Now, obviously, the DM can come in and talk with the Druid and give them extra things, like flavor-wise or homebrew stuff, but that's besides the point.
I wonder if it's a vibe of trying to increase people to multi-class. Maybe they don't have as much faith. I'd be curious to see what they do in later levels, because to me, you want to do the Druid to level 8 and then change, which seems a bit bizarre. In previous episodes, we found that they were doing really good upgrades, especially to stuff in lower levels for the fighter. While for the Druid, it doesn't seem that way. They've kind of separated out regarding the Magician and the Warden, if I'm not wrong. Now, maybe kind of going down that road, maybe they've kind of bougied it up a little bit. But it seems really weird where it's like, oh, some of the things that you just got as a Druid, you now have to choose one or the other. And Wild Shape is also not what you're known for. You're a nature wizard. Act like it. You're not a rat or a horse. You're a nature wizard. So I kind of hope as we kind of go through the other levels that maybe we can kind of see that come more into play. I know. And the last thing you get at level 1, you get to speak to animals for free. So that's fun. They've added that much required addition, and then yeah.
You know what? I'm actually ecstatic about that change, because I deserve to be able to talk to whatever animal I want. If I'm have to put this much effort into caring about the nature around me, why not leave me just talk to animals when I want? You know, like, why not?
But you could be the guy who's wanking himself off into the fucking parsley. Like, that's a different type of druid right there. That's loving nature.
Aquaman loves fish, and everyone still loves him. So why can't I do the same thing?
Small little correction on the speaking to animals for free.
Damn it!
You can't speak to them for free. You do always have the speak with animals spell prepared.
Oh, it's always prepared. My apologies.
Always prepared.
Yeah. Wait till you use it all the time.
Yeah, I love it. You're going into a fight with your druid, and they don't have any spell slots because they were talking to the squirrel for half an hour. Yeah.
God, I love little tangents in D&D campaigns where I have to just off the cuff always at least have to think about what's plausible for the animals to witness.
And now you can, as speak to animals is always prepared.
I think ridiculous. I remember Kane played a druid for a little bit in Wildmount and was like, "Oh yeah, Dan, I'm going to cast speak with animals." I'm like, "Oh God, fucking damn it!"
I think it can make for some pretty funny interactions, though. Sorry, Dan.
One of my personal favorite changes for Druid, just from what it is they made, like, one of the old features for 2014, which was an optional feature, was your Wild Companion. So at level 2, you can summon a spirit by using a charge of your Wild Shape to cast Find Familiar. You do this without material components, so you don't need the incense and paper and everything to start off the spell. But what it used to be was when you cast a spell this way, it lasted for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, which at minimum is 1 for this. But for the change, what they did was, I think it always counted as a fey creature instead of a beast. So for spell interactions and like other features that interacted with specific creature types, it changed that up. But now the way it lasts is it disappears after a long rest. So it can potentially last for 8 hours more even if you don't take a long rest.
Which I find hilarious. It'll watch you sleep, and then as you open your eyes, it just...
My duties are done. I must disappear now.
Yeah.
It's just...
I completely understand why, but it just sounds like the face like, "Oh, you sleep very tidily this evening."
Little does he know, I'm the Tooth Fairy. Leaves a copper piece and just walks away.
Nah, he sounds like the spooky Tooth Fairy. He takes one from your mouth directly.
So yes, that's your last level 2 feature, which already Druids at level 2 have gotten so much. It's a lot of text, but breaking it down simply, you can change into another beast of an appropriate CR. Basically, just ask your DM for just some creatures of a quarter CR when you gain access to this feature, and you can choose from a few of them, as long as they don't have a flying speed. That is important. You can't transform it to a bat. Unlucky mate. And you also can gain a Wild Companion, which can be really interesting for some little RP moments and for some little bits of flavour that you have. Maybe you did have some connection to the Feywild to begin with, and this is a companion you can now bring forth into the material plane. Oh, that's pretty cool.
And you're prepared to speak with the animals. That's the key upgrade here for Druids. Speak to the squirrels.
The way to save the world might be to speak to the animals. You never know.
Yeah, because when I'm like, "Oh my god, we need to save the universe," I gotta ask an iguana first.
He might know the answer.
Actually, I'm thinking about it now. It would be hilarious if someone thought his parents were like just these 2 random squirrels. Just play someone absolutely utter psychotically.
Yeah. Or like a very unsocial druid. Yeah, absolutely. Like a very unsocial druid who like can't confine in other people, so he has like a like a I don't know, like a flock of birds that he uses as therapy.
A Dr. Doolittle complex.
Yeah.
All Druids just really liked that Eddie Murphy movie. Fuck Robert Downey Jr. He didn't do it justice at all.
I didn't like that version of Dr. Dolittle.
It was considered a Dr. Doolittle. They called it Dr. Doolittle, didn't they?
As as Mrs. Brown once famously said, "You've heard of Dr. Dolittle? Well, there goes Dr. Do Fuck All." So on level 3, like with everything else, you gain your Druid subclass, and you can choose from one of 4: Circle of the Land, the Moon, the Stars, and the new one, which has not existed previously, Circle of the Sea, which we will go into detail in its own episode.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm actually kind of shocked that they have both Moon and Stars. I'm surprised that one of them didn't get renamed and revived, considering they've, Land, Moon, Sea, you've got, the different versions of nature. I'm surprised they didn't go a slightly different route. But like you said, we'll look into those properly another time. You still get your ability score improvement at level 4. And then there's a new thing, Wild Resurgence. Josh, what do you think about it?
I like this a lot. So basically, once on each of your turns, if you have no use of your wild shape left, you can give yourself one use by expending a spell slot. Now, this is for primarily when you're in fights. The reason I like this is because if you do build your Druid focusing around your wild shape, or depending on what subclass you are, you need your wild shape to do extra stuff, similar to Channel Divinity with Clerics. You only get 2 a day, and if it's a long day for your adventuring group and there's a lot of stuff happening, you're probably going to run out fairly early, so this gives you a chance to stay in the fight for however long you need. I think it was a much needed change. It's very good. I don't think it's too overpowered or anything like that. I think it's just a good way to keep you feeling like you can keep helping your group as you are fending for your lives.
Originally, I didn't have this in my notes because it sounded so, I don't know, laissez-faire that I'm like, oh, it was in the last one, surely. And then I had to do a double take. I read it 14 times, being like, no, it actually isn't in the original one.
Yeah.
Because it makes so much sense for the Druid for this to be a thing. Really weird that it wasn't in the first place.
Absolutely. Now, you can argue that they wouldn't put it in the old one because you could survive in your wild shape much longer in the old version, right? Because you took the beast's health, whereas now you only have your health plus temporary hit points. But I can kind of see why it's more needed this version than the old version.
Oh yeah, the Druids I feel definitely got shafted in the early levels. They needed something in the mid levels where they normally didn't have anything, which is wild.
Big gap between class features for a Druid.
Yeah.
They got class features at level 1 and 2, and then they didn't see a single base class feature until level 18 in 2014.
That's long. Yeah. Imagine it going from 2 and then all the way to 18 to get some pocket money or anything, or to get a different change.
Especially when you see your warlock over here getting new things from their demon daddy every couple of levels, or even fighters, right? Getting extra ability score improvements and all.
Fighters are like the toddlers of the class world. We just get bored if I don't get something new every level. But then we move on to level 7, Elemental Fury, which kind of definitely comes back to the Magician Warden vibe. Once again, obviously brand new. You've got potent spell casting where you can add your wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any Druid cantrip. And you have Primal Strike, where once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon or a beast form attack in wild shape, you can cause the target to take an extra 1d8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. You get to choose when you hit. It definitely gives you more reasoning for kind of choosing which warden or magician. You definitely have to think about it now. And I think it's very bougie, in fact, because for a druid you would mainly go with wisdom. That would be your big stat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wisdom is your spellcasting stat.
I did one thing that I think is very interesting about this, which I actually only just thought of. I have never thought of this before. The potent spellcasting, you add your wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any druid cantrip. I wonder would that stack with Shillelagh, the cantrip that we talked about earlier, because you already get your wisdom from that cantrip. So do you get extra wisdom?
I would assume so. Actually, yeah, we should ask the DM.
I don't think it works that way. Is the way these abilities normally work is when you cast the cantrip, it gains the extra damage. When you cast Shillelagh, you grant your weapon the ability to use your wisdom modifier. It wouldn't grant the weapon the ability to have extra damage every single time equal to your wisdom modifier. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay. I would have to take a look at that. Look at that interruption. The way rules was written, I would imagine it may happen the first, if for whatever reason, say like the Booming Blade cantrip, if for whatever reason Booming Blade was a Druid cantrip, as part of the Booming Blade cantrip cast, you make a weapon attack. That would gain the wisdom modifier in that instance. I don't think Shillelagh works that way.
See, it does sound like it would be a little bit too much fun for the Druids, and I think we all know that Druids aren't supposed to have fun in this game.
Well, maybe that's the fun. They got rid of your beasties, and now you can whack shit with Shillelagh. Because from what I can see, raw, the potent spellcasting comes in when you actually deal damage. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a different instance, even though it's still your wisdom modifier. Interesting. And then I think Primal Strike's very good if you've kind of obviously gone down the more offensive route. The 1d8 is really good. Being able to choose the damage is massive, I think, because you can choose it when you hit, not necessarily like you go for a long rest and like, oh, it's cold today. Oh, it's fire today. You're able to, I don't know why I sounded like, I don't know, a 7-year-old bitching about autumn. Oh, it's leaf downing today. Oh, it's raining today. But the fact that you're able to choose, if you find out a creature is vulnerable to any of those damage types, if it's resistant to any of those damage types, you're able to change it. I like it. I think it definitely adds an enticing factor to going either way regarding Magician or Warden.
Actually, it was interesting the point that you made, Leo, that it was when you deal damage, and I looked at to specify, I'm talking about potent spellcasting again, that it specifies when you deal damage with a Druid cantrip, and because Shillelagh works on a weapon, you're making a weapon attack. Because it's been enhanced with Shillelagh, it's not dealing damage with Druid cantrip, so potent spellcasting wouldn't work with Shillelagh.
Oh, but it would work with Primal Strike instead.
It would work with Primal Strike. So you can cast Shillelagh on your stick, and then with Primal Strike, you can get the extra damage. And one thing I just noticed as well is I think this is the same levels that clerics used to get their Divine Strike. So it's basically just the elemental version of that.
Yeah.
And their level 15 feature is improved
a big gap.
Fury, which is a big gap, but there are subclass features that come into play there, especially as well at level 8 and 12. You also have to remember that you get your ability score improvement or feat option. So there is stuff that happens in between those levels. The improved Elemental Fury is with the potent spellcasting option. So basically it's whatever option you chose for the initial level 7 Elemental Fury, it now gets improved. So with potent spellcasting, if you cast a Druid cantrip with a range of 10 feet or greater, the range increases by 300 feet. So you can just fucking snipe people out of the way, provided it has a range of 10 feet at bare minimum. Or Primal Strike, the extra damage increases to 2d8 instead of 1d8.
Which is a crazy improvement. And I think that just what Josh said earlier, where the Magician is normally long range, while if you're doing the Warden, you're up close and personal. This just cements that concept. Increasing the spell's range for both of them, really. Yeah. But very good upgrade. Delighted for you, little sexy Druid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is massive. I think this is that level 15 improvement is the biggest one. I think that kind of really puts in stone like what type of Druid you are. Especially like if you want to go crazy with it and take the potent spellcasting, increase your spell's range to 300 feet. Why not take the spell sniper feat on top of that and double your range even more? Now you can hit anyone anywhere. All the time.
You want to just be a sniper, just away there with like...
Absolutely. I want to stand on the top of the mountain, looking down at the village, casting my little cantrips, and no one can touch me. Oh, well, it doesn't have to be specific. It could be some people that cut down a tree that didn't get permission for it.
Don't worry, the birds told me, because I always have it prepared.
See, it's all coming together now.
It's all coming together.
I see the lumberman didn't have the correct permits. Flex his fingers. Well, now it's time to get personal.
they didn't see the squirrel's nest. Do squirrels have a nest? They just go in trees. Is that a squirrel's nest?
But they build a little home in a tree. Is it called a home or a nest? That's interesting.
There was 13 squirrel holes, which sounds worse, really. Squirrel nests in this tree.
I'm going to find out the answer right now.
Interestingly enough, a dray is the nest of a squirrel.
Oh. See, look, both educational and informative. Well, of course we are. That's why we're sponsored by Love Honey. Learn your vagina the best.
I don't think you're qualified to talk about a vagina, Leo.
Well, we're only the sponsors, Dan. Why have we been sponsored by vaginas? Because of equality. That's why.
Oh, God.
Moving on. Level 18.
We've been on.
Level 18.
Same as before, you can cast your druid spells in your beast form, except for anything that specifies a material component with a cost.
Yeah, so this is obviously massive, as it was in the old edition as well. I think this kind of cements... I would consider this... Well, I suppose every class now, right, ends at 18, and then you have your epic boons afterwards. I don't think there's... Oh, there's a level 20. I apologize. I do consider the beast spells... If that feels like the complete class for me. I being able to finally cast spells as your wild shape. I think it makes it easier to do what a druid should be able to do, being able to be in your beast shape, be up close if you want to be up close, or if you still want to be the spellcaster in the background, now you can wild shape into a flying animal and be up in the air in safety while still casting your spells.
Yeah, I can see why it was untouched. It works super well with the druid, really, but now more has better synergy, I think, especially regarding spellcasting. Kind of leaves the warden out in the cold, but who gives a shit? You can cast spells from 400 feet. I'm certain there's a feat that doubles the distance for a spell. Fuck it. Yeah, who cares? Do whatever you want from whatever distance you want.
If you want to get extra bougie, right? At level 18, if you don't want to keep the druid going to the level 20 features, take a 2-level dip into sorcerer, gain access to meta magic, and distant spell.
Oh my!
Nah.
You want to?
Do you know what?
A kilometer away, you can fucking do that now.
I do think that, especially regarding the last two, I don't think that'll happen a lot more because of the new epic boons. Josh, have you had a chance to have a look at all of this? We had a quick talk about it during our fighter one. What do you think?
Yeah, so I haven't read through all of the epic boons. However, I did pick out some that I think would fit a druid very well. Specifically the ones that give you extra protection. I think the druids at this point, I think my focus, if I was a level 19 druid at this point, I have all my spells that I want, I know what beasts I could transform into, I have my weapon damage, I have everything. Now I need to try and ensure that I can survive so that I could do my things that I want to do. So the boon of fortitude is the first one that stands out to me, which is great for everyone. Basically, straight away, you increase one of your ability scores by your choice by 1. To a maximum of 30, and then your hit point maximum increases by 40 immediately. That's massive for being in. If you want to be a druid that's in your wild shape all the time, you have an extra pool of health to stop you from dying. And also, whenever you regain hit points, you regain an additional hit points equal to your constitution modifier. So there is that option for you if you're struggling at this point to stay alive, which I imagine druids will. And then the other option would be possibly the boon of recovery, which is another kind of last resort, stay alive type thing. You get the last stand feature, which is similar to the... I can't remember what it was called before. There's an undead fortitude for undead, I believe, where when you drop to 0 hit points, you drop to 1 instead. So that might be another option as well, just as a last resort in case something does come along and one-shot you or something, which is absolutely possible in those late levels of D&D.
Wait, doesn't that one make you drop to 1 and then instantly you heal for half your maximum hit points?
Yeah, you regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum.
Jesus. Yeah, no, it's super cool. I like it. I like the new epic boons. Very much here for them. Finally, we have our Arc Druid at level 20, which has always been the case. Don't worry, you've always had it. Only joking, they've made so many changes. Yeah, but I'll say as our Master Druid, Josh, what is the final change for the Druids class?
Right, so the Arc Druid, there's this is kind of wild. Now, having said that, I still stand by, before we get into this feature, I still stand by that the level 18 beast spells is kind of where you can wrap up your Druid class if you wanted to multi-class, like Dan said earlier. I think that level 18 would be the perfect opportunity for it. However, if you want to go all out on flower power, at level 20, whenever you roll initiative and you have no use of wild shape left, you regain 1 expended use of it. So with that, and on top of the wild resurgence at level 5, which we talked about earlier, where if you have no use of your wild shape left, you can give yourself 1 by expending a spell slot, you pretty much will always have wild shape whenever you need it now, which is massive. Then, also on top of all that, you can convert a use of wild shape into a spell slot, similar to how sorcerers can, I believe, with I can't remember what it's called. They can do something with their sorcery points.
I think it's... I think it used to be called like flexible casting, or something along those lines.
Something along those lines. Druid gets their equivalent of that now, where if you're running low on spell slots, and you don't need your wild shape, you can convert it into a spell slot. You choose a number of unexpended uses of your wild shape and convert them into a single spell slot. So if you were to convert 2 wild shape uses, you can produce a that makes no sense to me. A 4th level spell slot, yes. So yeah, and on top of having your wild shape all the time, you can now kind of guarantee that you always have a couple of spell slots as well at the same time. So it's a good little juggling of your wild shapes that you can do now at level 20. And then the last thing you get, which I'm pretty sure was in the old version as well of the Druid, is for every 10 years that passes, your body only ages 1 year, which was definitely, I think that was a level 20 thing. It was called Timeless Body.
I think it was level 18.
Level 18, yep.
Thank God, thank God you get it eventually. I'd hate to age too quickly at the level 20.
Druids just live for like 1,000 years. No, just no shot. Just be like, hey, I'm sticking around here. One of the things I actually noticed about Nature Magician is that it's once per long rest feature.
Oh yes, yeah,
yes. So you're probably doing it big.
It is nice to be able to say, like, just for example, like if you needed to revivify someone but you didn't have the spell slot for it, just bam, there you go. There's a 4th level spell you can cast Revivify with. Even though I know it's a 3rd level spell, but
I think it's a wild difference between the previous Arc Druid, where you had unlimited number of uses of wild shape and you ignored verbal and somatic components for spells.
The old Archdruid was not even arguably, just wildly accepted that it was the single best capstone feature that any class had. Because the ability to just negate any material components that lack a cost for a spell. No verbal, no semantic, which means not a single soul can ever counterspell you when you're casting your spells at level 20 as a druid. How it used to be anyway.
Yeah.
And it's especially... It just meant that when you were playing a druid in the old days, it was nigh on impossible to kill a player character druid. That druid was always going to live. One of the very few ways that you could have done that was reducing their HP low enough that in their wild shape form that you could just cast Power Word Kill and they were done. But in that sense, if for whatever reason a druid subclass gave you access to counterspell, they could just counterspell your Power Word Kill and you wouldn't be able to respond in kind.
I get people being pissed. Because that's a huge change.
It is a huge change, but I'm looking from an outsider perspective, and especially from the DM perspective, good fucking riddance.
Absolutely, and even as a player, which is probably not a very uncommon thing to say, but I can also agree as a druid player that older version of the Arc Druid was unnecessarily good.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know, especially it's so jarring with the old version going from, as we talked about, going through such a gap of having nothing to then level 20 being unstoppable, just like that. Whereas I think the new version of Druid is a lot more of a smoother transition into a reasonably good thing without you being a god, essentially.
Oh, it's way more balanced, but fuck, man. No one ever said, no, stop giving me Jaffa cakes. I've had too many.
I think if you look at the competitive, if you look like, if you look at any competitive video game, if something is too good, you fucking hear every single soul talking about it to, fucking change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just took fucking 10 years for this to happen. Now, while I agree with the changes for, changing Archdruid to be, less of like a toxic, nah, you can't kill me at level 20. I do feel they debuffed it into the ground where I don't personally think that if I was playing a Druid, I would go the whole way to level 20. Like Josh was saying before, level 18 with beast spells seems like my capstone for Druid.
Yeah, it's gagging for a multi-class.
Yeah.
Which is a real shame, because previously it was like, no, just endure. Don't worry, we get really sexy very quickly. We get a boob job, man, at level 20. You're gonna be, wah! And now granted, it's a gradual increase of power that makes more sense, but I think we're gonna see less wild Druid players, if I'm being honest.
I still think we will, because especially at lower, especially for the average length of a campaign, like as we said before, is in and around the 10 to 12 range. Druid is still a fantastic class to pick, and we'll see more of that then when we go into like the subclasses and how they work, especially with their their subclass features. That even up as far as a campaign that only takes you to level 7, like Elemental Fury is still a fantastic base class feature to pick. Just extra damage and being able to just extra damage whichever way you go is never a bad choice. One thing that we never actually did in Fighter, and I will give this honor to Josh, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how would you rate the overall improved Druid?
Ooh, that is tough because I have mixed feelings about a lot, but I would give it a solid 7, which actually is, I think, you know what, I'm going to bump that down to a 6.
That didn't take much.
Yeah, look, I am absolutely happy with it, and I would still be happy to play a Druid. I think that they've made it in some ways they've narrowed it down too much, where you get locked into a very, very tight corridor of what kind of Druid you are. Whereas compared to some of the other classes that are available in D&D, they have a more wider variety of options. No matter what class or feature they pick, or subclass or feature they pick, they can do multiple things. Whereas I feel like with the Druid, they've put a tight collar on what you can do.
What would you say? Because I think this is important too. Because obviously the new one is now a 6. What was the one 10 years ago? Pre-update, what was it out of 10?
I think the one 10 years goes an 8. I think it would be a 10. I think it would be a 10 if there was more features. But as we talked about, there's very little. It's a very bare class, but it was very good at what it did. You had options to be a very good spellcaster, or you had options to be a very good upfront fighter with your wild shape. Whereas now, yeah, I just feel like it's very, very much one or the other. And whichever option you pick, the old version did it better.
That's so brutal. I respect it massively.
It's still over. Oh, one of the things I did forget to mention, which I really can't believe I did, is Druids are full caster. Not just like a half caster. They're full casters. They have access to 9th level spells once they hit level 17. The same goes for Wizard, Cleric, and Sorcerer, and the Bard.
And I believe they're the only ones that have access to the Storm of Vengeance 9th level spell, if I'm correct. Storm of Vengeance was actually an old spell as well. It was in the old edition. But yeah, as if I'm remembering correctly, Druids, again, unless you do some wild feature that gives you the option of taking it, Druids are the only ones that have access to the Storm Revenge level spell, which is a very, very fun spell to use.
So it lasts for a whole minute, concentration. At the start of each of your later turns, the storm produces different effects as detailed below. So at the start, each creature under the cloud must succeed on a con save, or take 2d6 thunder, and have the deafened condition for the duration. So for like the entire minute, they'll just be deaf if they fail that con save. Turn 2, acid rain, 2d6 acid damage. No save, just you fucking take it. Yeah, there's no save. It's just the only save that you make is when the spell begins. And that's just a save against deafened. Turn 3, 6 lightning bolts, hit 6 creatures. Each makes a dex save, taking 10d6 lightning on a failed or half as much on a success. Turn 4, hailstones. Each creature takes 2d6 bludgeoning damage, no save. And turns 5 to 10, gusts and freezing rain. Each creature there takes 1d6 cold damage under the cloud. And until the spell ends, areas difficult terrain, heavily obscured, ranged attacks with weapons are impossible, and a strong wind blows through the area. So that is for 6 turns in the later turns, which usually is when combat is kind of pretty much coming to a close. It's all difficult terrain.
All difficult terrain. And if you look at the range of the spell, you can cast it from 1 mile away. So that plays in perfectly to our idea of standing on top of a mountain, going at these lumberjacks who didn't have planning permission to cut down those trees.
Destroying and
I'm just over a mile away from my targets. If only I had an extra 300 feet range.
And if you take Spell Sniper, you double that, so you can do 2 miles away.
Good lord.
2 miles and 600 feet.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They'll be able to leave that before you're able to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it would still be hilarious.
I knew they were here. I think I agree with you regarding your rating. I think 8 down to a 6 is about right. This has made me more curious. I don't know if it's just me, but I get when something's super shit at the start, I'm like, but why do you exist? There must be something like in the subclasses. It must have unreal synergy with the subclasses. So it's kind of just made me more excited to get stuck in for the subclasses for the next episode. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if that's just my kink or something.
Because especially looking that there is a Druid of the Sea that I've always... it wasn't until I saw it that I realized, oh shit, that would make so much sense, an aquatic Druid. And it's actually perfect for something I have planned for the campaign for you guys.
Leo, remind me when we're doing the Scroll of Water to prepare water breathing. Okay.
All right.
I feel like that's an obvious option that we should pick is water breathing.
Probably going to be necessary. Cough, cough.
Yeah. This goes back to the prepared spellcaster thing. I struggle so much to prepare the right spells.
So remember the aqua. Lovely. Okay, yeah.
Aqua. Yeah. Yes.
I hope that the Circle of the Sea ends up being like a manlier Aquaman.
A manlier Aquaman. And what would that look like, a manlier Aquaman?
It's pretty much Jason Momoa. He's far too manly to be the campest member of the Justice League, which he obviously is. Aquaman, not Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Talking about the Circle of the Sea, we get sponsored by Ishka. That would be lovely. Ishka, reach out. Refreshing ice cold water with an ironic spelling.
Not Isekai?
No, it's Ishka.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's a pun on the Irish word for water. Ishka.
Is it a pun or direct translation?
No, it's a pun. Because the Irish spelling for it is Uisce, and Ishka is Ishka.
Oh fuck me! I'm so done.
So it's not.
No, don't explain it.
It's a phonetic spelling.
I don't want their sponsorship. All right, give me. For some reason, Avonmore came to mind. Their milk, but hey, Avonmore chocolate milk still hit us up.
Actually, technically, Circle of the Land Pastures, Avonmore.
I'm good. Yeah, that works for me. Granted, I want some chocolate in it, but I don't mind the extra steps for me. That's fine.
And with that, I think we're pretty much ready to wrap up here.
Yeah, that, dear listeners, brings us to the end of another session where the dice are hard and the jokes are harder and our standards are at an all-time low. If you enjoyed this chaos, be sure to follow and subscribe. If not, at least we finished, even if you didn't. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.